Did you know that only a super empath can destroy a narcissist's ego? Today, I'm discussing how. Let's dive in. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tamie M. Joyce. I'm an empowerment life coach specializing in codependency and narcissistic abuse recovery for empaths, scapegoats, and awakening light leaders. If you're new to my channel, a very special welcome. Please take a second to say hello and introduce yourself in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss a new video. So let's talk about how only a super empath can destroy a narcissist's ego. Now, first of all, what exactly is a super empath? Well, super empaths are mission souls who have done their work, healed their family of origin wounding and trauma to a large degree, and have come out the other side stronger, more clear, more confident, whole, self-aware, and self-actualized. They are highly empathic, empowered souls who are here to serve humanity in their own unique way, not least of which by anchoring in higher frequencies that they themselves may or may not even be aware that they carry. They also serve by literally being a walking mirror, triggering and reflecting back to others their unresolved issues and disowned shadow self, which includes unprocessed emotional wounding and trauma, as well as their subconscious fear, insecurity, sometimes even their deeply buried self-loathing. And this is especially true when we're talking about people who land on the spectrum of destructive narcissism. Now, because super empaths so easily pick up on other people's feeling state, the energy they carry, their true intentions, hidden judgments, attitudes, behaviors, and personality traits, super empaths can temporarily take on those traits and project them back to their rightful owner. Anything that is hidden, such as a person's envy, jealousy, fear, insecurity, feelings of inadequacy, suppressed guilt, shame, anger, dirty little secrets, or dirty big secrets, these things build in energetic intensity the longer they are left buried beneath the surface of a person's conscious awareness. If someone has traits that they don't like about themselves, they will inevitably be triggered and thus reminded of those traits when they are in the presence of a super empath. And this is one reason why there can sometimes be an instant dislike towards a super empath, in particular when meeting unconscious people whose comfort zone is toxicity, dysfunction, and denial. If that's where they abide generally, whether they're consciously aware of it or not, the super empath shows up on the scene with all of their light, their love, their high-vibing good nature and intent. It can, and often does, completely disrupt the status quo. And this can happen whether or not the super empath ever even opens their mouth, by the way. If you're an empath, and this has been your experience, it is likely because without even realizing it, you are reflecting back to others the truth that they aren't ready, willing, or able to face about themselves, and instead, they prefer to hide from, project, and deny. And frankly, this is precisely why so many super empaths have had the experience of being cast as the family scapegoat in sick, dysfunctional family systems. They are disruptive by nature, or more precisely, the frequency they carry is disruptive by nature, even as toddlers. Simply by virtue of the energetic frequency they carry, super empaths remind others of who they are for better or worse. And for less evolved, less secure, and less conscious individuals, needless to say, this can be extremely uncomfortable. Now, the truth is, in addition to being fully committed to their own healing and ascension journey, the super empath can absolutely be the catalyst to healing and growth for others. But when dealing with narcissists, more often than not, that opportunity is missed, and instead the result is projection. Now, projection is the narcissist's subconscious protective mechanism and survival strategy. And when this kicks in, they attempt to project all of their disowned shadow self onto the super empath. Now, the point of all of this projection, of course, is to blame the super empath or make the super empath responsible for all the appalling attitudes and harmful choices and behaviors that actually belong to the narcissist. The goal for the narcissist is to unburden themselves of the heavy load they carry, which is typically buried deep within their subconscious. If you identify as a super empath and find yourself having this experience, whatever you do, do not engage. No matter how well intended you may be, it's not likely to help. Rather, let the narcissist or otherwise unconscious individual carry their own load and thus feel the full brunt of what it is that they are trying so hard to avoid by projecting it onto you. Now, like all empaths, super empaths look for and often see the best in others, even when it's not actually there. But you can't fool a super empath for long, if at all. They are astute observers, and once they're onto you, there will be no turning back. Unless, of course, you show up with a sincere heart, genuine intent, and a willingness to back up your words with action and walking out a living amends. In other words, actual changed behavior. Super empaths can spot disingenuous a mile away, and they have little to no tolerance for feeble attempts to justify and rationalize bad behavior and relationship crimes. They are the ultimate walking lie detector. So don't waste your time trying to lie to them or manipulate them. Just because they aren't calling you out or engaging doesn't mean they're buying what you're selling. Super empaths are also super intuitive. They pick up on even the most subtle vibe. They feel everything deeply. They are emotionally strong and carry genuine self-love, self-respect, and healthy self-esteem. As I alluded to earlier, this is mainly because they've actually done their healing and recovery work. They're fully committed to personal growth, spiritual development, and ascension. They've surpassed their original family of origin programming and healed their old wounding and trauma and limiting beliefs to a large degree. For this reason, they have a strong core identity. They know exactly who they are and who they are not. They don't need your validation and approval. They know their own mind and they trust themselves. They have the power of clear, wise discernment. They don't lie to themselves, and they certainly don't lie to, for, or about others. They've been through the fire more than once and have come out the other side stronger, wiser, more grounded, more clear, confident as a result. They are loyal to the truth, honest to a fault, straight shooters, which of course is problematic for people who prefer the cozy comfort of denial, deception, manipulation, and dysfunction, like, for example, narcissists. Unlike other empaths, the super empath is not a good target, mainly because they are not easy to manipulate, which is another reason they're so problematic in dysfunctional family dynamics and other toxic low vibrational circles. They see through people, and they don't miss a thing. That smug you're wearing on your face, or the way you rolled your eyes, didn't go unnoticed, but neither did it land, nor did it affect them. It just exposed you for who you are. They're clear. They pick up on disingenuous intent and manipulation very quickly. They also don't scare easily. You can't intimidate a super empath, so don't waste your time trying. Unless, of course, you like to live dangerously. Then go ahead, but don't say I didn't warn you. Super empaths don't look for confrontation or go out of their way to create conflict unnecessarily, but neither do they shy away from it if the occasion calls for going nose to nose or toe to toe with an emotional manipulator, a liar, or a toxic bully. And this makes liars, toxic bullies, and emotional manipulators very nervous and uncomfortable. They're outmatched, and they know it. Again, it's all about the frequency the super empath carries. Although it's definitely high vibing, it's also disruptive and disturbing, in particular for people who A, have something to hide, or B, have yet to do their work. But fear not, super empaths are boundaried, and because of that, they're largely unflappable. They don't compromise their standards or integrity for anyone. Now that said, they are also genuinely kind, loving, and forgiving, but not to their own detriment. They are anything but doormats or pushovers. Cross one and you'll likely find out the extent to which this caliber of empath is capable of taking care of themselves. They sell their soul for no one. And although yes, they are boundaried, well-mannered, and elegant even, make no mistake, they can and will breathe fire if and when they feel it's necessary. They know how to maintain their personal power by not allowing others to have any power over them. And although genuinely highly empathic and sensitive souls, they are stronger than most humans can fathom or imagine. and for good reason. As I've said, they've been through the fire and come out the other side more of who they are on a soul level, never less. They are thick-skinned and know how to be completely unaffected by the nonsense and drama stirred up by toxic, insecure, empathy-impaired emotional manipulators and troublemakers. They know who they are. And if you don't see their value or are threatened by their personal power and strength, no sweat. That is entirely your loss. They are fiercely independent, having healed their codependency and wounded inner child, and as such, they can afford to be interdependent with other relatively healthy and evolved humans. Super empaths know their worth, and when faced with people who are unable to see it and treat them accordingly, they walk away. Don't ever make the mistake of underestimating them. They're super smart, and again, highly intuitive, so nothing gets past them. They aren't driven by fear, ego, or insecurity. They're predominantly grounded, calm, and clear, spiritually connected, and fully aware and in possession of their superpowers. And for this reason, they don't do phony. They won't enable you in your nonsense or prop you up in your denial. They absolutely cannot abide dishonesty, lies, lies by omission, or using truth out of context. They tell themselves, and where appropriate, others the truth. Always, respectfully and appropriately, of course, no matter how uncomfortable, inconvenient, or unpopular. Unlike most people, they have the courage to live a life fully aligned with truth. And you can rest assured, they're onto you. Which is fine if you're a decent human being with nothing to hide. People who have nothing to hide, hide nothing. But if you have malicious or malevolent intent, if you are a manipulator in any way, if you're lying to yourself and others all the livelong day, you're in the wrong room with a super empath if you think you're going to get away with that kind of thinking and behaving for very long. Their frequency alone will be enough to make you squirm. Lie to them or about them, it's over. End of story. Gaslighting them doesn't work either and is likely to get you hurt. So unless you're good with suffering those consequences, you're probably smarter not to go there with a super empath. It's not going to fly. The super empath is a spiritual warrior, loving, kind, and fearless. She or he carries genuine humility and has nothing to prove. So when the narcissist is wearing smug on their face, thinking they've got one up, they're dead wrong. And they soon find out just how wrong they are. Super empaths cannot abide hypocrites, fakes, phonies, or as I said, liars. So, are you starting to see how a super empath can so easily destroy a narcissist's ego? Super empaths trigger the narcissist's deep-seated feelings of insecurity, inferiority, and unworthiness, which ignites the narcissist's envy quickly. Super empaths are also fully in touch with and aligned to their higher self, their soul, while narcissists are typically hiding behind a mask, a fake phony front, and false persona, an identity that is incredibly fragile and no match for the genuine light, love, strength, courage, integrity, self-respect, deep intuition, and intellect of the super empath. Narcissists are liars to themselves and anyone who will listen. Super empaths are truth seekers, truth speakers, and truth carriers. And the truth carries a vibration 1000% more powerful than any lie ever will. So who do you think wins the game? Effortlessly. Simply because of the purity of their intent, the love in their heart, and the caliber of their frequency, the super empath always comes out on top in the end, and you can count on it. Now comment below and let me know if you've ever encountered a super empath, or do you identify as one? If you're an empath who would like to learn how to evolve into a super empath, then you're likely an excellent candidate for my 8-week transformational coaching program, the Freedom Class. If that's of interest to you, there is a link in the description below where you can apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team. So how exactly does a super empath destroy a narcissist's ego? It's all about energy, friends. To begin with, super empaths are empowered, soul-aligned, sovereign beings. They don't take on the narcissist's projections. They don't fall for the crazy-making mind games. They are fully unfazed by the toxic gossip and perception manipulation the narcissist uses to control how others see them. All the justification and rationalization in the world won't move a super empath if they know that they are aligned with the truth of the matter and are firmly rooted in their personal integrity, which they always are. Narcissists are the ultimate wounded inner child, a toxic emotional toddler running around in an adult body. So destructive survival strategies are all they've got. The super empath is not this at all, on any level. Rather, they are fully independent, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually, as opposed to codependent. They aren't needy. Instead, they are self-aware, self-reliant, and fully sovereign, and for this reason, they can afford to be interdependent in a healthy way with relatively healthy people. Narcissists can't and have no idea how to deal with someone who is so unflappable, so unfazed, so personally empowered, so confident, clear, genuinely loving, and strong. Someone who doesn't enable them, someone who doesn't participate in the narcissist's destructive tactics and childish mind games, someone who is bulletproof and immune to their manipulation. The truth they carry and clean standards they live by are enough to unsettle any narcissist, again, simply by virtue of the energy, the frequency that they emanate. Narcissists are fundamentally fear and shame-based people who are terrified of exposure, in particular when it comes to their own shortcomings and inadequacies. And the energy of a super empath, the energy that they carry, sooner or later triggers all the fear, all the guilt, all the shame, insecurity, and absolute inadequacy and fragility of the narcissist and their overinflated ego. Without even trying, and simply by virtue of who they are, the super empath shines a bright light on the narcissist's shortcomings, their delusions, and all the truth about themselves that they don't have the courage to face, never mind deal with or work on to heal. Narcissists are cowards to their core. Terrified, tortured souls acting out their pain at the expense of others, and often, unfortunately, while being enabled by a deeply unconscious and equally dysfunctional and toxic entourage. By contrast, the super empath is a spiritual warrior. Strong, brave, courageous, smart, intuitive, kind, loving, honest, and high-vibing. Everything the toxic energy vampire, otherwise known as the narcissist, is not. And exposure to the super empath's light is often all it takes to destroy the narcissist's fragile little ego. And this is why the super empath has so often been the target of so much narcissistic abuse, toxic gossip, and character assassination through deliberate smear campaigns. The dark is terribly afraid of the light and will work to destroy it at all costs. No lie is too great, no depth too low, no length too far, no projection too much. They go all out, and still they fail to destroy the super empath. If their plight weren't so tragic, it would actually be comical. But then again, we know there's nothing comical about what the narcissist gets up to, even when there's a super empath involved. The super empath is a big, bright light and a big mirror, reflecting back to the narcissist what they cannot see, accept, or stand about themselves. Because the super empath is emotionally strong and they trust themselves, their spidey senses and bullshit detectors are fine-tuned. They pick up on what others think and feel no matter what kind of mask they may have on, no matter what they think they may be hiding. Subtle, sneaky, passive-aggressive behavior doesn't get past a super empath. They don't miss anything. They can read a room and the people in it with incredible accuracy and lightning speed, which is why insecure people are so easily triggered by them. On some level, they feel completely exposed because in reality, they are. You can't lie to a super empath and expect to get away with it. Not for long, anyway. They can and will pick up on your true intent and disingenuous motives. They are no fools, and trying to manipulate or pull one over on a super empath is likely to seriously backfire on you. They remember everything, including small details, and they spot patterns quickly. Again, not much, if anything, gets past them, which is why, if your intent is not genuine or sincere, you're in the wrong room with a super empath. You will be exposed. They see and feel it all. Every roll of the eye, every passive-aggressive dig, and all the toxic gossip you think you're getting away with because the super empath isn't in the room while you're smearing them. They know. And although they may not stoop to your level by reacting, engaging, or calling you out, they rest peacefully in the knowledge that yours is coming. They are very patient. There is a verse from the spiritual text, A Course in Miracles, that speaks to this. The Course says that those who are certain of the outcome can afford to wait, and wait without anxiety. Now, super empaths understand metaphysical principles like this at a very deep level. And for this reason, they know full well that they can afford to wait and wait without anxiety. They embody this level of certainty. They know who they are and who they are not. And if you've shown them who you are, and who you are is anything but decent, genuine, kind, loving, honest, or well-intended, the super empath knows perfectly well that karma is queen and she never loses an address. And it's all coming back to you tenfold. Count on it. All the super empath has to do is focus on living his or her best life, fulfilling her or his soul mission and purpose, and let the universe do the rest. Again, the super empath knows this to their core, and they can afford to wait without anxiety. Now that's confidence and clarity and power. Are you starting to see why the super empath is so problematic for the destructive narcissist and their enabling entourage? Although they are all about love, service, and fairness, they are no fools. They are masters of giving you enough rope to let you hang yourself. The typical narcissist is completely outmatched when faced with a super empath, and they know it, which is why they are so easily thrown off balance and inevitably crumble when trying to take on a super empath. I liken it to the epitome of the combination of actual, genuine personal power and spiritual power, grounded in real strength, truth, authenticity, and absolute love, versus the flimsy mask and false persona the narcissist wears in an attempt to prop themselves up in their false sense of superiority, hoping to hide the depth of their fear, insecurity, and genuine self-loathing. They don't stand a chance when faced with a true super empath. Even the super empath's commitment to their personal integrity is enough to set a narcissist off. The light they carry shines on all the dark, shadowy places of a less evolved, less conscious, more narcissistic type. Further, in spite of their deep compassion and high empathy nature, the super empath has the ability to cut and cauterize with sociopath-like coldness if you give them good reason. Like, for example, if you are toxic, dishonest, disingenuous, phony, or harmful in any way to their well-being or the well-being of someone they love, the super empath will literally amputate you from their life without a second thought. If you've shown them it's in their best interest to do so. They don't take on the narcissist projections, and thus the narcissist is left to carry their own cross, so to speak, the burden of their disowned shadow self without the benefit of being able to dump it onto the super empath for relief. In short, super empaths are fearless, brave, courageous, faithful, and incredibly strong survivors who shine bright. And the narcissist's darkness and toxicity are not only fully triggered by all of this high-vibing bright light, but it is also no match for the good light, the love, the gold the super empath carries. Zero contest. And that the narcissist resents, of course. When a narcissist enters the realm of a super empath, they get more than they bargained for. Instead of a yummy target, easy to manipulate, blame and shame and work to destroy, the narcissist soon learns the extent to which they are fully powerless over a super empath. And the narcissist is then left to deal with themselves and all the messes they've created. Game over. My friends, I hope you got some value out of this today. If you liked what you heard, be sure to drop a like and a comment. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was. And if you're new to my channel, a very special welcome. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell to be notified when I post new videos throughout the week. And again, if you'd like to learn more about the possibility of working with me in my 8-week transformational coaching program, the Freedom Class, so you can evolve to a super empath status, there is a link in the description below where you can apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team. And as always, I will leave you with this. Know your value. Know your value and unlock your freedom. Mwah. Much love. Bye for now.